Did you know that you can be 100% certain that if you die tonight, you go to heaven? I didn't know that either until somebody showed me in 1 John chapter 5, verse 13, where it says, "These things have I written unto you that believe on the name of the Son of God, that you may know that you have eternal life." Let me ask you the most important question of life. That is, if you were to die tonight, where would you go? I know where I'm going. I'm going to heaven. I have eternal life with Jesus Christ, which means that I have a never-ending relationship with Jesus Christ, and I'll be in heaven forever. I'm 100% certain of that. Now, I'm 100% certain not because of how good I think I am or anything about me that's special. Rather, it's because I have 100% confidence in Jesus Christ and 100% confidence in the work that God has done in my life. That is the basis for knowing for sure that I'm saved. There are 5 simple truths that you need to know in order to be sure. And I'll share them with you. They're very simple. The first and most important thing to know is that God is righteous. Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 13 tells us that God is of purer eyes than behold evil and can't look upon sin. What that means is God is so righteous, so holy, and so sanctified, He can't tolerate sin, can't have anything to do with sin. Which means, if God can't tolerate to be in the presence of sin and can't have anything to do with it, what do you think heaven is like? Well, Revelation chapter 21:27 says that heaven is spotless. There shall in no wise enter into it, that is into heaven, anything that makes abomination or makes a lie. In other words, there's no sin in heaven. Not even the tiniest little speck of sin. Because if there was any sin in heaven, then God would have to condone it and tolerate it, which means God would no longer be righteous. God, in order to be perfect and holy, cannot tolerate sin, and He won't have anything to do with it. As much as He loves us and wants us to be in heaven, He cannot allow us into heaven if we have sin. Because after all, if He were to allow sin into heaven, it wouldn't be heaven anymore. So let me ask you this question. If there's no sin in heaven, how good do you have to be to get to heaven? That's right. You have to be without sin. You have to be perfect. That would require that you're as good as God, as perfect as God. Do you know anyone that good? Well, I don't, and for good reason. The reason why we don't know anyone good enough to go to heaven is because there is no one good enough to go to heaven. Romans 3:10 says, "For there is none righteous, no, not one." And in fact, Romans chapter 3 verse 23 says, "For all have come short of the glory of God, because all have sinned." Now this presents a serious problem for us, and we have to ask this question. If we don't go to heaven, where do we go? Well, if you're like most people, you're going to hell. Now I know you don't like that thought. I didn't, and I had to think about it myself. But you know, the Bible tells us that this is a very real place. Romans 6:23 says, "For the wages of sin is death." That's more than a physical death. That's a spiritual death that's described in Revelation chapter 21 verse 8, which says, "But the fearful and unbelieving, the abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burns with fire and brimstone." Well, no wonder people don't like to think about it. But trying to avoid it or ignore it doesn't make it go away. The only way you can solve that problem is to deal with it head on and honestly. Ask yourself, if you were to die right now, where would you go?